Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm going to start the Brutal and Cunning set that came out a while back. I'm finally getting a chance to do it, and I thought I would break it up because it's probably going to take a little while, especially since there's two teams and a bunch of cool terrain. So the first thing we're going to do is the Orks, and the very first Ork has some variants that you can pick from. So I've got his card here, and I looked at his different setups. And while the rocket pistol, when in combination with another one, can do some pretty cool stuff, it still requires quite a bit to hit. 5+, 4+, and a 5+. Whereas if you use the smash hammer, it's a 3+, does more damage, and it has the brutal setting there. So we are going to go with a rocket pistol and the smash hammer. That's the variation we'll be building. And then we'll just move on from there. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we're going to dive right in. There's a lot of pieces in this setup, and it's pretty wild how much stuff came with it. I was actually very impressed. It's a pretty cool one. I haven't even really opened it until today to do this build. And I have to admit that I am both impressed and a little daunted by everything that was available. That was a very hefty contact point I just clipped. But it doesn't look like it's super complicated. They are not pushed together, so that will add a little bit to the difficulty, but not too much, especially since Orks are, by and large, some of the easier models to build just because they're so chunky. They've got plenty of room to work with when it comes to figuring out where they go and how they connect. And since they're at least vaguely humanoid, they make sense when you start trying to dry fit them and stuff. You know, it looks obvious. And in this case, we've got this little loincloth thing that's obviously going to go down below. And look at that. It fits super nicely and obviously. So no big deal there. Very simple. But as this is not pushed together, you will definitely be gluing everything. There's no easy way this time. But also not a big deal because there's plenty of contact and it's very easy. These characters, of course, can be used not only in Kill Team, but in the regular game as well. So we'll be adding them to our rather vast Ork army here, which is kind of absurd, quite how many we have. Let's see. We're going to need to find this pistol, but I think we're going to have to build it. So it looks like there are multiple parts. What's going on here? These instructions are a little strange. Let's just see what I find if I look up 4 on this thing. Well, there's 5. That's his big hammer that we're going to do, so we'll grab that. This one's not as bad when it comes to clipping out the parts either because you're not really looking at having to beware of cutting the little guide tab things that could cause you trouble. Oh, look at that. So it's actually fully assembled. That's easier. Sometimes with Ork stuff, you've actually got to build their guns. A little bit like Necromunda. If you've ever built Necromunda models, the guns tend to be disassembled in a way that makes you have to put them together even though they're super tiny. So they could be smaller than this dude's head, and you'd still have 2 parts that connected together to make one gun. It's a little ridiculous, I gotta be honest. All right, we're gonna, let's see, the smash hammer is gonna go on the right side of his body, and let's see. Oh, the A3 version of his gun would have gone on the side we're not using. So this is probably not necessary. We're going to need A6. And we also need to make an attachment to the hammer, which we have plenty of options, it looks like. We'll just get a tenderizer looking one, like what we had when we were, or at least what I had when I was a kid. Where are these? Wow, 115. I'm going to have to go to the box for that, I think. Let's see if I'm lucky. Nope. Here we go. There we go, 115. We'll do this one. Looks kind of funny. There's a lot of leftovers here for kit bashing too. Tons of extra stuff, so buying an extra set of these orcs would probably go a long way towards some scrap demon fun. All right, let's see. Where is my... Okay, so we're looking for A6. I don't know why I'm having a hard time finding it. There's A5. Oh, there it is, A6. Wow, it's his whole arm too. So unlike the other side where we were going to have to put an arm onto the gun, this one's just ready to go. So I guess that in a way, if you were looking for an easier solution, the hammer and the gun might be there. I don't know. I think I still need to find an arm for the hammer. And I'll bet you it's A3. Yep, I'm pretty darn sure. Because it doesn't specifically say. Oh, yeah, it does. So basically, you can either do A4 or the hammer, and whichever one you choose, you're going to use A3 as the arm. So my bad. Sorry if that was confusing, but the bottom line is you want to use A3, and A3 is going to connect up to this arm, and it's pretty... Let's see. So there's an indentation on his hand here, and that should fit up to that. So, yep, and then it just goes in. So there you go. I will put some glue on there. We'll get the arm ready so that it can sit and dry for a minute while we mess with the other parts of him. And there we go. It's light enough that you can hold it from the hammer. I don't think I need to elevate that one, so it should be fine. We'll put the hammer's little chunky piece on later. For right now, let's figure out where this arm's going to go. I believe that it will go... Oh my goodness, look at that. It lines up perfectly. This is some modern stuff. Let me tell you that orc stuff is not usually quite that easy. I mean, it is easy, but it doesn't just like force itself to go right into the space for you easy. But okay, we'll glue this up and make it happen. So, for those of you watching this, how many of you are orc players for, well, for this or for Sigmar for that matter? How many of you play orcs as your primary team? We have quite a few because my wife loves the orcs and she is a huge fan. So I'd be curious to hear what your favorite clan is and how many you have. I think we've got 80 boys, so not quite the crazy 120 green tide that I've seen some people do online, but still quite a few. I think they're really funny. You know, the sort of comic relief of 40K. They're probably the only people having fun is what I hear. So, anyway, if you have some thoughts about orcs, I'd love to see them. All right, so we're going to put this shoulder pad on. The shoulder pad actually has a guide on the bottom, which is completely insane. It's a little triangle, and that triangle is going to match up to the one on his shoulder, and then it will fit in nice and snug. Also, if you want to know, the little teeth go out away from his head. So those two things should make it pretty simple to attach this shoulder pad. We are close on this guy, I think. He didn't have a whole lot to him. So now we need number 7. I didn't see it immediately when I was looking for 8. But it should be a small piece. There it is. It is on the sprue in a strange way. Just didn't expect it to be sideways. All right, let's see. Does it have the same kind of guide? Not really. It's going to have the spikes are going to go in towards his body. So I'm guessing once we get the other arm on, we're going to see how that goes. So let's do that now. Where does he want to be holding this hammer thing? Kind of down. So, this one's not quite as obvious as the first one. There it is. There it is. There's quite a bit of connection point, too, between the part where his little arm meets and his bicep actually connects up to the body as well. So quite a bit to keep it nice and snug. So we'll get this arm on, and we might take a moment to find him a base. So there he is so far. No head and no shoulder pad, but pretty cool. And he stands up on his own because he has pretty much a base all on his own without needing the actual base. We're going to use a 40 millimeter base on him. That's huge. And then we get to pick between two heads. One has like a piece of gear on top of it, and the other one has sort of a helmet. I think we're going to go with 9, but let's see if I can get a closer look. Oh, there's 10. 10 has like a welder's mask on it, and that's kind of fun. Whereas 9's all mangled and has like a messed up eye and a little monocle thing. I think we'll go with that. That's just kind of cool. Okay, so there are those two. Now let's see. Is that pretty much it? Oh, nope. He's got a backpack thing too. So we're going to get 11, and then you're going to pick one of the two sort of scrappy looking orc things that go on his back. I'm going to go with 10 or 13, sorry, because I like the little spike going off to the side there. That's fun. So we got 13 and then 11, which is just a backpack. There it is. It's this with all kinds of rockets and other foolishness attached to it. So there we go. One more at the base of the rocket. And then one at the top here. There we go. Cool. All right. So how does this work? Okay. So it looks like you take the piece here. It's got an X on it. And let's see. It is not I wouldn't call this super obvious. So I think it's going to go, yeah, the X. Oh, my bad. I thought that went between him and the thing, but no, it doesn't. The X actually comes up here and attaches as a sort of little banner. Okay, that's cool. I like it. Very, very simple. We'll build this thing out, and then we will figure out his base, and then we got a hammer part to do, and he will be very close to done. So we'll set that aside. I haven't even opened the bases yet, but here they are. They included all of them in one bag. So we got the orcs and the little rattling guys together. I guess this is 40 millimeter. Let's see. No, there's no way. There's a big old beefy one in here somewhere. That was probably a big mistake, but let's see. Oh, that has to be it. Yep. There it is. So he'll go on that. Maybe. Maybe there's an even bigger one. I don't think so. I think that's the biggest one I got. It's a big old boss knob, dude. Let's do the remaining parts before we put on the backpack. Let's get this shoulder pad on. So remember that the spikes go towards the head. And he goes, so it's going to basically go like that. But unlike the last one, there's not really a proper guide. As you can see, there's nothing really there except for, well, I guess that you could probably argue that tiny slat in the middle there goes to that, but I mean, it didn't really link into place per se. in my opinion. Oh, it might be my fault. I have a little bit of mess to clean up, it looks like. No, that can't possibly be causing the trouble. But let me find out if I'm wrong. So, as I've said in previous videos, if you are using the palette knife, it's just responsible to say, please be very careful. I have already cut myself with this once, maybe twice. I can't remember the second time, which is probably good. But the first time I'll never forget because it was very horrible. And those little flesh wounds bleed. So, be very careful. And if you are younger, use with an adult. Okay. Let's just get it on there. I'm sure it will work out just fine. There we go. That looks lovely. It's a big old orc shoulder pad thing. So pretty much what you would expect. Now, head. The head of the orc is quite simple. Oh, I'm going to mess up his shoulder pad because I'm lazy or impatient. Let's give that shoulder pad a minute. Let's just calm down. Let's take a look at these cards for a minute while we wait for that. So we got all of the cool thing about this is that it comes with all of the character cards that you would get in the new sets of kill teams, since they all include these. And then you get the operatives, you know, who they are in one, and then there's faction rules and equipment and strategies. They're all on the cards, and they're available in the big box. It was massive. So this is just for the orcs. The ratlings got their own, and they're just as extensive. So let's see. I think I can be a little more careful and get that head on now. I did just want to dry fit it really quick, though. Oh, yeah, it fits right in. Very simple. So I'll just glue it on there, and we'll be pretty much done with the orc body. We just need his backpack, and that will be Orc 1 done. There he is. Look at him. He's pretty cool. Okay. Set him down. Let's grab his backpack. I'm sure it's pretty close to being done. And it looks like he's got like this little link in the back, and and then the belt part connects up to his belt too. So there's some good guides that should make it simple to get this on. Let's see, what would be the best? Oh, and technically speaking, there are 5 divots on his little back piece and 5 divots here. So they should link up. So that's good news too. So lots of good ways to link this up and make sure you get it on properly. I'm actually just going to put the glue right on this part itself and then right on his little belt, and hope that that is enough to keep it very secure. So that's him. That's him. He just needs to be put on this base, which I swear to God, this base just looks a little small to me, but maybe it's just because orcs are just that chunky. And, I mean, I know I'm chunky too, so. Here we go. So I hope it's this base because I'm going to do the commitment press right now. Boom. All right, that is one down. Oh, you know what I forgot to do though? I forgot to put on the hammer piece. Well, that's okay. I will put it right here, and then when he dries on his base a little more, we'll put it on at the end. So no big deal. All right, so that is one orc done. We got him with his little hammer and his pistol. We can move on to the next guy here. I'm going to look ahead on the instructions to make sure I know what we're making. He does have some variation. He can have a rocket launcher or he can have a big smasher. He's either a Tankbusta Rokkiteer, a Tankbusta Gunner, or a Breaka Boy Fighter. So once again, we'll go to the cards to see which one we want to build. That's the Wrecka Bomb Squig. That's not him. Breaka Boy Fighter. Okay, so this is one of the variations right here. And he has an attack of 4. He hits on a 3+. He's got 5 to 6 damage. He's also brutal. He has the break stuff action he can take. He's pretty cool. But let's take a look at the Tankbusta. Here's the Tankbusta Gunner. He can hit on a 4+ and a 5+, and then he also has his fists that he can beat people with. Sounds horrible. That's not too bad. And then let's look at this Rokkiteer. Okay, the Rokkiteer has he has more options, it looks like. This says, don't select a valid target. Instead, place your pulsa marker visible to this operative or on vantage terrain of a terrain feature visible to this operative. That marker gains 1 pulsa point. Then roll attack dice. It gains 1 additional pulsa point for each success to a maximum of 3 additional points. Separately, inflict D3 damage on each operative wholly within X of that marker, where X is that marker's pulsa points. Then the action ends. Okay, that's actually kind of amazing. And while he does have to hit on a 5+, I think this might be the way to go. So I think we're going to go with the Rokkiteer. So basically the big difference is he still uses the same big-ass gun with each of the orcs over here, or with the 2 variations. They're the same gun, but the difference is that he has a backpack full of rockets. So keeping that in mind, it looks like we pretty much just have to put his body together first, and that's going to be 16 to 14 and 15. Then he goes on a base. So let's hunt down those parts. They should still be on the same sprue that we built the last guy with. So here's 14. And my goodness, what is happening here? All right, and then we need 16. Oh, there's 15 too. So here's his leg. I love that they're all standing on like bits of terrain, which will make it easier for them to stay up on their respective bases. I'm always about that. So we need 14 still, I think. Oh, there's the big rocket, I bet. Or did I miss 16? Nope, I missed 16. There it is. Okay. Okay. So we got those 3. We will find a 32mm base. There we go. And now let's see what it looks like. Very easy. There's actually divots to guide you to ensure you get his torso on properly. Lots of contact points to make sure that it stays, which is good considering it's his entire torso, and it'd be absolutely horrifying if it just randomly fell off in battle. Leave that to Space Marines to do, because I do not think the Ratlings have it in them to rip an orc in half. I need to clean up his leg here because it would not sit flat. Let's see if I can trim this off because it looks like it's pretty high up. That's not too bad. I'm going to use the knife. We're back to the knife. Wow, it's kind of hard to get at this too. Yeah, I'm not doing this the wisest way. Let's see. That should be good enough. Let's stop while I'm ahead. Okay. Now, will that... Yes, that's fine. Okay, and this is very easy because you can see that it lines up with his little butt in the back. So this will be a pretty simple one. And while I did not necessarily get it completely smooth, the glue will take care of the rest. There's also a small guide back here, but I I'm not seeing how it necessarily helps. And of course, if you do need some guidance, you can see that this foot is going to line up with this part here. Foot here, both go onto the base, and voila, we will have an orc. So the next step is to actually put him on his base. So we'll do that right now, and then we'll move on to the next part. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes you get to base them way early, and sometimes it's not till the end. I prefer early basing because then we have the advantage of him standing up rather than needing to use clips to keep them aloft when we put parts on that might want to fall over. All right, so we need 17, which is right here, this rocket. Now, interestingly enough, there's a little guard piece that's going to go onto this rocket. And it looks like we have a choice on what that will look like. Let's move our orc friend out of the way for a moment so that we can hop back in the instructions to have a look. Oh yeah, we have a ton of options. I'm going to pick the one with the horns on it because why wouldn't I? What number was that? Because it was really high up. Number 114. So once again, we got to leave this sprue behind and root through one of the other ones. Okay, here we go. 110, 109, 114. Okay, so if there aren't spikes on your orc that can actually cause you personally to be injured, then you're probably doing it wrong. I did some knobs the other day, and they had so many spikes that I could have pierced my hand with them. They were insane. It was actually quite funny. Okay, so this is super simple. It's going to go over this part in the front here. Just slides on, and then we'll glue into place. It's pretty simple, but you kind of want to get it back, I think, as far as you can so that it has good connection points. And you'll see that there's a bottom. Well, actually, just here, look at it from the bottom here. You can see it pretty well connects up. Yeah, I think that's the best I'm going to get. But, whatever. Actually, that was so tight that it almost didn't come off. So, inadvertent push together. Okay. We will get this into position. And there we go. All right, this thing is ready to go onto him. But let's just take a moment to let it dry some and find A18. A18 is going to be necessary to attach the gun to him anyway because it's part of his arm. And that should be part of our original sprue here still. Let's see. It is literally just an arm. There it is. So, now the cool thing is, oftentimes when you're putting on a weapon that requires both hands, like this guy here, so, we're going to have him sort of be like this, and then this part's going to attach to his hand down there, and then that has to attach to his body, and it can be kind of a pain in the butt. But in this case, they have actually added a really nice guide in the form of this square and on his hand itself. Sometimes you don't get that, so it is just you trying to connect 3 points, and that's really fun. But so far, these guys have been very intuitive as far as where their arms go and how easily they match up. Like this arm right here, just super easy. It's already in. It's good to go. So that means the other one's going to be just as easy. So the question, of course, becomes, should I put this on first so that it's ready to go and then connect it to the gun as soon as it attaches? Or would it be easier to put on the gun first? In my case, I'm going to put on the arm that attaches to the front of the gun first and give it a minute to set so that it doesn't get all jiggy once I start trying to fool with it. But I don't want it to set too much just in case I need a little bit of wiggle room for when I put on the other arm. Now, when I put on the arm, and as you see, I'm totally not doing what I just said since I'm going to do it immediately, I'm going to glue the part there so that when I get it into the other arm, it's ready to go and I don't have to put anything on the end of it itself. And let's see, is it easy? It is not horrible. Did it. And that is a guy with a rocket launcher. So there we go. Okay. So all that's left for him is his head, his shoulders, and his backpack. So we need the A24. He's got a weird platform that's going to go on his shoulders. And that's what's going to carry the rockets. Looks like we have to actually build the rockets too. So we got 2 separate sets of rockets that will go onto it. Let's find A24 for, oh wow. A24 is very obvious. Okay. Let's make this happen. So if you do a lot of building, what is your least favorite thing to build? What do you find most frustrating when you're trying to build models? Is it something that you think is kind of that should be easy but isn't? Or is it super spindly models? Is it the big ones like Marathi or one of the big demon lord guys? What kinds of things have frustrated you when you tried to build, and what did you do to overcome them? Because for me, I actually really struggled to initially build models that were Necromunda because they're so small. And the funny part is that they were pretty much amongst my very first models I tried to build. So I was kind of gave myself a trial by fire in that regard, which was not the best idea. It would have been better to do something easier, I think. But it did teach me quite a bit. And then later when I went back to them, I was a lot better because, I tried them, I struggled with them, and then I built some Space Marines and stuff like that. And then I came back and found that I had improved sufficiently to tackle some of those. Specifically, I was really desperate to work with the Daughters of Cain. And if you've ever tried to build them before, they're very spindly and super tiny. Their contact points are absurd, especially the witch elves. Their arms are absolutely microscopic. And as cool as they all look, they really are kind of a pain in the butt. So had I not built the Necromunda stuff and a bunch of other things along the way, I probably wouldn't have been able to build the Daughters of Cain. But I was just determined to try it regardless and develop the skills necessary, which ultimately, when I talk about developing skills, it mostly comes down to patience. So getting back to this build really quick, I do want to point out that I'm building the rocket pack for him, and you have a bunch of options. And the options were like rockets launching themselves and stationary rockets and drill looking rockets, all kinds of stuff. So I picked this more dynamic one because I think it'd be fun to paint where it's got smoke and stuff coming off of it. And there are very obvious guides that will build this backpack. So you can see it's super easy. It just connects up and that's it. So I'm going to glue it on right now. Going back to building, are there any that you absolutely love to build? Is there anything that you do that you're just like, I can't wait to build more of those? For me, I think that my favorite to build are things from the kill team sets, primarily, not specifically a faction, but just kill teams in general. Unless they're like based on some old build that you don't know about. You buy the kill team and then you find out it's a re-release, and then all of a sudden a bunch of the parts are a pain in the butt to put together. You'll know why quick. But as long as they're brand new, they have a lot of modern sensibilities about building, and it makes them a lot easier to construct, and they just make more sense. So all around, I just find them more entertaining to build. And they often have a lot of really cool poses, and I mean, in this case, tons of variations. Now, I will tell you that there is one that was actually kind of disappointing. The Rogue Traders. I was really excited to get that set because when you look at them, they're so elaborate, and they've got all kinds of really crazy pieces to them. They're really, really, really neat. However, they are all monopose. They're pushed together, and there's no variation at all. In fact, they are so easy that I would put them at a 0 difficulty, if not for the fact that they're kind of hard to cut out. They're easy to damage if you're not very, very careful. But other than that, they're so easy. And it's disappointing because when you see them, they're so elaborate, it really does look like they're going to be full of a bunch of really cool options, and they're not. So, and sadly, I have 3 copies of them. I ended up, well, that's a long story, but regardless, I have 3 different copies of the Rogue Traders, and they're just, quite frankly, quite boring. But that is what it is. They're still fun, and they still look really cool, but compared to other kill teams, they are kind of lame in that regard. And I think they could have done better, especially since Rogue Trader is so popular with the new video game and stuff. You'd think that they would actually put out more. But instead, they just re-released them with the Imperial Agents. So, whatever. Maybe it just wasn't as popular as Space Marine 2, so they're like, we don't really care about that anymore. Just focus on the huge game right now. And speaking of which, have you played Space Marine 2? And if so, what do you think? I have a video about it, and it did get quite a few views. I was very surprised at how much people wanted to look into that. I did do it early on. I had beaten the game pretty fast because I kind of loved it. I didn't love it at first. I can tell you that there were some moments that I was like, this is kind of annoying. But, once you get past some of the initial frustration of how some things work in the game, it actually is really quite elegant, and I have a lot of fun with it. I still play it from time to time. I do find that the experience points you get for leveling up in the operations is a little bit low, so it takes a little too long to get anywhere. But there's a lot of longevity to it. There's a lot of reason to go back, I guess. And some of the cosmetics are freaking awesome. My Blood Angel character I play in there, it looks amazing. So I'm pretty impressed. All right, there he is. This is the Tankbusta guy. Done. So we can move on. So let's look. We're going to move on to what is number 9 here. And once again, we have 3 options. And one is a Breaka Boy Fighter. Again. A Breaka Boy Krusha. And it looks like he doesn't even have arms. He's just got meat tenderizers for arms. And then we got a Tankbusta Gunner. So I guess we could have had a Tankbusta Gunner from this show up over here. Let me look at this Krusha character, because that sounds awful. Here he is. Knuckle Bustas. Attacks 4, 3 plus hit, 5 to 6 damage. Brutal shock and smash. Whenever you strike, you can move the enemy operative in a straight line increment of up to 1 inch. If you do, it must finish the move further away from this operative and in a location it can be placed. Then move this operative in a straight line increment of up to 1 inch. But it must end that move within the operator's control range. If either isn't possible, you cannot move them. I don't know. That guy sounds pretty cool. We still have a Breaka Boy Fighter. I wonder if there's a Breaka Boy Fighter later. Let's take a look. Let's look ahead at number 10. Oh, yep. That is another option. I mean, you can practically just make every single one of these guys Breaka Boy Fighters. Okay. We're going to make the Krusha dude with his meat tenderizer arms because that's just hilarious. But it doesn't matter what we're going to build because he starts the same no matter what. He starts with 29, 30, and 31. So here we go. That was 31. And we're going to go to 29. Where's 29? Come on now. Please don't tell me it's on another sprue. It can't be on another sprue. I refuse to believe that. There's 30. His leg. And there we go. 30. Okay. Oh, there was another contact point I missed. There we go. And what does 29 look like? It's his like whole freaking body. It's not on here, guaranteed. Amazed. Okay, so let's figure out where it would be. Is it on here? Oh my goodness, this is just a daunting number of pieces for this big sprue, huh? 6, there it is. There's 29. Okay. Well, there you go. I refused to believe it, and it didn't matter. All right. So, just to date this video, despite the fact that it will, what I'm about to say will not matter in about a month and a half, but today, this morning, I got up a little late, and I wasn't really paying attention to the time. And I was quite disappointed because at 10:06, I realized that a very important pre-order to me was going live. So I rushed to the computer to get on and buy The Emperor's Children because I love Slaanesh. So I've got a lot of Slaanesh stuff, and I was very excited about getting the Emperor's Children box set that was coming out. Well, within 6 minutes, they had already sold out. I have mixed feelings about this. On one hand, I'm upset that I didn't get my team that I wanted, because that sucks. But on the other, I am pleased to know that I'm not the only sick bastard out there that loves Slaanesh so much. The box set itself, I've got to be honest, I was not taken by the figures that they included. I wasn't super disappointed in that aspect, but I am a little sad that they're already gone. I mean, that was super quick. I think they didn't make enough. I think that they pretty much thought that there weren't that many fans of Slaanesh, but they were wrong. And now I don't get the creepy setup that they have. Actually, it was fairly expensive too. It's $230. So the way I am consoling myself is to just take heart in the fact that, you know, the different characters that were included in that will come back and be out separately. And, you know, FOMO boxes being what they are, it's not like it won't be hard to get all that stuff later. Pretty much the same way I did the Imperial Agents. So I have a video on here about how I got all of the Imperial Agents and without buying any of the big box sets. I did have to do a little bit of eBaying to do that. And I'm sure that, you know, if I really wanted this box set that came out today, it'll be available, you know, on that secondary market for sure. I'm sure a bunch of people bought it who didn't actually want it. Jerks. Just so they could resell it to poor fools like me. Okay, so now that we're at this point, we've got to do the green. We're moving on to the green instructions here. So the first thing they want me to do is find A41 and put on his little backpack. I guess this is going to power his creepy ass arms. Let's see if it's on here. I don't know that it will be. I don't remember seeing any backpack that looked just like that. In fact, I'm kind of thinking, oh, here's his arms. So here's 40, and I'll bet you 39's on here. So let's get his arms now Because I think we're about to abandon this sprue. I think most of what's left is just stuff for kit bashing later. Okay, that's 40. So this is his right arm. I'm sorry, that's his left arm. But I'm putting it on that side so that I know that it's this one. It makes sense to me. Do it any way that makes sense to you. And, okay. It's 39. And then we need some meat tenderizers. These can be anything from the line on number 6, which I think are the same as those Krusha things. Yes. So I'm going to get some round ones for this, just because his arms look like they would be better for that. So we'll do this one and the one right next to it. I'm about to jinx myself majorly, but I have to say, I haven't dropped anything on the floor today, and that just seems weird. So when I do, now that I've said that, I'll probably edit it out because it's embarrassing. But for some reason, it's like a compulsion disorder to drop things on the floor here. And you can't see it, but I've got like multiple flashlights just in case it happens because, like a dumbass, my floor, when we built this room, is the same color as this plastic. Should have made it like red or something. All right, so getting this going, just so you know, what I keep looking at is that when you're assembling these, they have a little divot at the top, and that goes and attaches to the top part of the arm or the hammer so that you know that you got the tenderizer part on correctly. So now that we've got both arms, we still got to find that backpack, and that has to be, oh, wow, instantly found it. Right here, number 41. All right, so this is going to be a little bit tricky. You want to be very careful of the hoses. Do not cut them on accident. Now that they're not super thick, so it would be easy to ruin them. Okay, so once again, just like the last backpack, there's 4 divots on this part here and in here as well. So we're going to put this like so. And it just links right up. So very simple. I'm going to put that on here. And slap it right on his back. And that's done. So when his arms go on, and I of course mixed up the arms, but it's okay. They're very obvious. Okay, so this arm here has a little triangle part here. That's going to match up with his shoulder, which will create a guide for his shoulder pads. So when you put it on, it's just pretty much like this. And then that way, the tube will have a place to connect as well, which is right up against his arm. So I'm going to glue the tube and the arm hole before I put on the arm. There we go. Simple. And there. Simply delicious. No problem there. All right. Second arm. And then we put on his head and his backpack. Now, while that kind of sets for just a moment, I'm going to grab his back part. And I think that actually is over here. Yeah, so I guess we aren't done with this sprue. So here we go. All right, let's get that. And then, oh, he's got a dual part head. It looks like. What does that mean anyway? 5A. So you pick a head and then you put a little mouthpiece over it. So we're going to grab 93, it looks like, for his head. Oh, wow. There's a whole bunch of heads over here. Okay. So 93 is this one right here. And then we need a mouthpiece, which would be 120. We're going to do 124 because there's more spikes. If I find 124 easily, that is. There it is. Oh my goodness. There's 3 contact points for this tiny little piece. Very annoying. Okay. Well, if any part was going to fall, it would have probably been that one. We're going to build that head right now before it goes on so that it's just easier to take care of. Oh, wow. That's awesome. So on the sides of the little face mask are little grooves, and they're going to slide right into place. Very, very easy. I'm going to use the glue on the face plate. No, I'm not. It's too hard to hold. So we're going to do it on here. Just try not to put too much glue on here, and because it's not going to be necessary. There we go. So the divot parts go up, and voila, you now have a little a little football helmet for him. He could be in Blood Bowl. Why not? All right, let's get his other arm on while we're over here. Again, we're going to put a little glue on that. A little. Oops. Jackass that I am. Let's see. Oh. Uh-oh. How does this work? I should have dry fitted. I'm an asshole. There we go. All right, so the arm kind of goes up on this second one, and then the hose piece has a nice attachment right on the side there. You might have to hold it for a minute to get it to secure, but otherwise the tenderizer is in place. Okay. So the last 2 things I have to do to finish him are put his shoulder pads up here and put his head on. Once this guy's done, we're going to take a break because we are at just about an hour to have built 3 of them. And the camera's going to die. My throat's sore. So yeah, once he's done, we will break this video up and we'll do a second video for the next parts. I thought this would only be 3 videos, one for the orcs, one for the rattling guys, and one for the terrain, but it ended up taking much longer to build this orc dude. All of them, to be honest. So anyway, I don't want them to be too crazy long. That isn't very much fun. All right. And again, the shoulders had a guide. And there you go. Tenderizer guy. Done. Let's just show the 3 that we did manage to finish in 1 hour. Knowing that we are at number 9, so we'll have number 10 next time. So here he is. I did put the hammer piece on. I didn't mention it while I was doing it, but it is done. Here's his tenderizing buddy, and then here is their Tankbusta guy. So the next up, we will be doing number 10. And number 10, I think we're going to finally make a Breaka Boy. But let's actually quickly look at the Breaka Boy Demolisher and just see what he's all about. There he is, Breaka Boy Demolisher. He's got a tank hammer. Does 4 or 5 damage. Detonate. Wow, okay. He sounds pretty cool. So I guess we're going to do the Demolisher. He sounds more fun anyway. Anyway, the next video we will pick up with the next model. It'll be model number 10. But for right now, we managed to build these 3. They're pretty darn cool. But thank you very much for watching this one. Obviously, no reveal this video. We'll save that for the final one when I've got all of the models done. Just as a quick point, it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I guess there's 5 total Wrekkas. How many are there? Whatever. Doesn't matter. Thanks very much for watching this video. We'll talk again next time. I'll see you then.